Cam Newton is talking about being a professional. He went off on Shedeur Sanders being, quote, too loud. This is what it's almost like a rite of passage for an older athlete, even one my age, to look back and say, I was perfect. It would be like me talking about hair care products. If you're the CEO, as Cam Newton was of the Carolina Panthers, you can't be making those comments. You got to be inclusive. Shedeur Sanders is a great lesson. He's a lesson for other people. Understand your role. Understand your talent relative to your job interview. Let's put it that way. Quarterback Cam Newton. Cam Newton is talking about being a professional. He went off on Shedeur Sanders being, quote, too loud before saying you can speak loud, be rambunctious, and have that bravado if you are a defensive back. I would add wide receiver, but not as a quarterback. Seems kind of hypocritical coming from one of the loudest, most brash, most bold, outspoken, cocky quarterbacks in recent memory in Cam Newton. But this is what we do, people. This is what it's almost like a rite of passage for an older athlete, even one my age, to look back and say, I was perfect. I wouldn't have handled it this way. I wouldn't have done it that way. See, I can say that because there's no video. Rarely are there any pictures, certainly no audio. But Cam Newton, we got you in our loving way, as the priest says. Here's Cam Newton talking about Shedeur Sanders.
Shedeur Sanders, this message is directed to you. Lead with work, not clout. I think he took on the persona of a DB, not a QB. As a DB, you're able to do certain things. You can speak loud and be rambunctious and have that bravado. But as a quarterback, reminder, you are the CEO of that franchise. What do I mean? You have what I've labeled the super six that you have to pander to. Number one, the owner. Number two, the general manager. Number three, the head coach. Number four, the position coach. Number five, the players. And also number six, the fans. This is the best situation for Shedeur because he has to claw his way to the top. Does he have the capabilities of doing it? Absolutely. And if I'm in his camp, I'm telling him like, bro, let's get to work. Let's control what we can control now. I do see Shedeur Sanders starting for the Cleveland Browns at some point this year.
There you go. All right. But it would be like me talking about hair care products. It would be. Here are some notable non-CEO comments from Cam Newton. A female reporter asked him about running routes. Devin Funchess, his wide receiver, running routes. And Newton responded saying it's funny to hear a female talk about routes. And, of course, the world went nuts. All the white guys sided with the gals, and all the media sided with the gals. And Cam Newton, who said what a lot of you out there think, and certainly thought back when Cam Newton said it, well, ladies and gentlemen, y'all went nuts. See, if you're the CEO, as Cam Newton was of the Carolina Panthers, you can't be making those comments. You got to be inclusive, not exclusive. That's what a CEO does. Now, it was a little bit before everybody lost their mind over every comment that everybody made, but yet, this is the comment that Newton made. And, of course, it set the world on fire. Everybody in the media that looks like me, white guy, bald, a little overweight, they couldn't wait to come at Cam. Every woman stood on her pedestal and Mina Kimes that respect me. Well, that's not the point. The point is, if you are the CEO, you got to be smarter than to make those comments. That's an example of an ex-athlete, in this case, Cam Newton, being the guy that never made a mistake. We never made a mistake, never missed a shot. Notable non-CEO comment from Cam Newton when asked what he believed the definition of a woman was. Cam Newton answered, I knew what a woman was, not a bad bitch. A woman for me is handling her own, but knowing how to cater to a man's needs, right? You can't cook? You don't know when to be quiet? Huh? You don't know how to allow a man to lead? Further backlash, more backlash, and more backlash. Cam Newton stepped in it. That is not a CEO comment. That is not an example to be setting, which I don't care if you set an example or not, for young Shedeur Sanders. If you say those things now, chances are people will go, eh. But if you say them then, chances are people won't go, eh. See, Harrison Butker said those things and women hated him. Why? Christian white guy. We all know that. Come on. Let's call it what it is. I like Cam Newton. I'm not even mad at his comments. See, I'm not going to be like you crazy liberals, that anytime anybody says anything, we lose our mind. I agree with his comments that Shedeur Sanders probably will start. Actually, beyond that, I agree this is a perfect situation. Cam Newton, you're making sense here. All right. Here's a throwback to when Cam Newton, as the CEO, gave a one-word response following a loss in the Super Bowl to the Broncos. Here's Cam Newton as the CEO.
Cam, on that fumble, was there, when you were looking at the ball, was there a thought that you were trying to pick it up to extend the play, or is that why you didn't hit the deck for it?
Did Denver change anything defensively to take away your running lanes?
No.
I know you're disappointed, not just for yourself, but your teammates, because you guys talked about how you are a band of brothers coming in, and it's got to be real tough for everybody in that locker room.
Load the box, force y'all to throw the ball. So you throw the football. That was the game plan. Load the box, one man outside. They got a couple of big plays, but I feel like and Roby come back and make it work.
Yeah, I don't blame him for any of that. I actually think it's pretty good, that reaction. You lose a Super Bowl, you got a bunch of crumb-stained douchebags sitting around asking you ridiculous questions, trying to prod you. I ain't mad at him. However, you are the CEO, according to Cam Newton. You are the guy that has the six that you're supposed to cater to. I don't think you did much catering. Now, this is very unfair to Cam Newton. Let me make this very clear. This is very unfair. Why? Because Cam Newton had a long career, and I'm cherry picking a little bit. But it's also unfair to Shedeur Sanders from Cam Newton. Why? Well, Cam Newton was older when he did those things. And with age comes wisdom, contrary to what the Flying Nicks, Nick and Nick, think, that they think this old guy's just a dummy. I'm just kidding. But I am not kidding about that. See, Cam Newton, after much experience, reacted like that. Look. Here's the deal. The bottom line is simply this. Shedeur Sanders is a great lesson. He's a lesson for other people. Understand your role. Understand your talent relative to your job interview. Let's put it that way. You are on a job interview when you are trying to get into the NFL, unless you are Peyton Manning, unless you are Andrew Luck, unless you are Myles Garrett. What do they all have in common? First picks in the draft. If you're the first pick in the draft and it's clear, a little different. But you wouldn't be the first pick in the draft if you were going to be a pain in the ass. It's a job interview. And I think Cam Newton's absolutely right. And maybe Cam Newton came across these 6 R's or whatever the hell it is after he retired, like all of us do. All of us look back. I have this Indiana jersey over my shoulder, and it's a constant reminder to me that I wished I'd worked hard. When I was in college, I do. At 62. Now, it doesn't really matter as you go through life. What matters are your kids and your family and all that kind of stuff, your health. I get all that, but still, we're all perfect. We're all perfect when we're done playing. That's the value of being done playing. And, better yet, no social media when you did play. The social media would have jumped up and down if they saw me and Uwe Blop fighting on my Chevette swinging, my roommate, my best friend. Would have been a problem. All right. Traitor. That's what it says here. I'm supposed to say Phil Mickelson is pissed. It ain't Phil Mickelson that's a traitor. He's pissed at the Democrats, and mainly Chuck Schumer, who, by the way, every time I see Chuck Schumer, I just think, well, dirtbag, fraud, effeminate male along the likes of Tim Walz. I mean, what are we doing here? That's a side note. Anyway, after Schumer arrogantly and gleefully announced that the SAVE Act, which requires proof of citizenship to register to vote nationwide, would be dead on arrival and will never make it to Donald Trump's desk for him to sign. Democrats hate America. I mean, Democrats want one thing and one thing only: their riches, their power. Because all these people like Schumer have been in power for so damn long. And if they would ever go back to being what they were, because there is video of Schumer certainly supporting this, criticizing illegal immigrants, demanding and talking about illegal immigrants, demanding that they not be allowed in, talking about them in such a way that all they want to do is basically suck on the teat of the United States and hurt our country. That's from 30 years ago. And now look at Schumer now, at the end of a long and very profitable bullshit career. Why are Democrats so scared of not allowing illegal immigrants to vote in our election? Here's Schumer bragging about killing an act that if you put it in front of every single human being in this country that came in legally, they would all say, yeah, we want that. Here's Schumer going against America.
They don't understand the sacredness of elections and keeping them fair. The kind of legislation, the kind of executive orders which are so jaundiced, so slanted on the side of one party, are the antithesis of democracy. On the one side, Donald Trump recently issued an executive order that will coerce states to prevent millions of Americans from voting. On the other, Republicans in Congress are pushing the SAVE Act, one of the most destructive, dangerous voter suppression bills in recent memory. It is very reminiscent of Jim Crow. That's what Republicans want to do. They want to not only restore Jim Crow in the South, they want to have Jim Crow spread from one end of this country to the other. It will not happen. It will not happen. Let me be clear. I will not let this noxious bill, the SAVE Act, become law. Every Senate Democrat, every single one of us is united against it. They need 60 votes. The SAVE Act is dead on arrival. I'd like to say it louder so my friends in the House and in the right wing over here can hear. The SAVE Act is dead on arrival. Democrat.
All right. Well, why are you bragging about that is what Phil Mickelson wants to know. How is this fighting for Americans? Of course it's not. How is letting non-citizens vote in American elections a good thing? It is not. He is not representing America, its citizens, or its best interests. He is a traitor. Strong words, good for him. See, here's what happened with Mickelson, and this is what happened with me. You get hit enough. You know, you get bullshitted enough, and Mickelson got bullshitted enough because of his comments back about Saudi Arabia. So he's been through this. And you know what you realize? It doesn't hurt. You think it does. Before you get smacked in the mouth, you think it hurts. Then when you get smacked in the mouth, it doesn't hurt. And that's where Mickelson is. He don't give a shit. Looks like I don't give a shit anymore. What? What are you going to do, write another article? Good. Good for Mickelson. Very good for Mickelson. Joey Salads, never forget when Chuck Schumer put cheese on a raw hamburger while cooking it, and these people are running our country. I mean, I'm not even, see, keep that picture up. I'm not even mad on Schumer posing. I'm not mad at him posing a fake pose trying to grill. So, you know, this was during the time when Republicans wanted to act like normal men with the great American penis. I'm looking at the eyes. This is a creepy dude. Not only is he a traitor, as Mickelson says, but this is just a creepy dude. Obviously, he's a liar and a fraud. Obviously, he's a thief. But this is a creepy dude. Again, I go back to the riches of all these guys. This guy is so obnoxious, so ridiculous, and so idiotic, and so out of touch with all of us that he literally thought this picture, not only the frozen burger with the cheese on it, but look at the creepy eyes. Hi, can I see your daughter? No, those dudes are creepy as hell. No. Our guy, one of our guys, Emmanuel Acho. I got a story about him, but I ain't telling it. He burst on the scene in the wake of the George Floyd riots with his ridiculous, uncomfortable conversations with a black man. Oh, yeah. No, nobody asked him why such, well, never mind. He's shocked to hear that his book version of the series has been banned by the Naval Academy's library by the Trump administration. Acho discussed the book ban while in the midst of trying to lecture Saquon Barkley on why people would be upset that he was hanging out with Donald Trump. I just get a kick out of this. I get a kick out of Acho. I do. I don't take him. I just get a kick out of here's Acho.
Barkley, by every metric, great father, great partner, great player, great leader. So the only thing that I can say I draw issue with, if you will, is Saquon, you can't act ignorant to the repercussions that are awaiting you. Can't act ignorant to them. There are some people who feel very passionately, and they will let you know. My book, Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man, it has been banned by the Public Naval Academy based upon those that are in office. Been banned. It's like I have literally faced the repercussions of what is currently going on by our government and society. But you just can't act ignorant, Saquon. Like, you do have to understand the climate that we're living in. You have to understand the team that you're a part of. You have to understand the era of social media. It doesn't necessarily have to dictate your actions, but don't try to act ignorant to the culture that we're existing in.
I always say, I guess that's a specific example, the culture that we're existing in. Why? Culture that, well, never mind. It's just amazing. The victim mentality never stops. It never stops. Like, maybe his book is banned, maybe it isn't. I don't believe anybody in the media, white, black, green, or purple. But let's be real here. Give me specific. Give me what Saquon Barkley is up against. Give me the culture that exists right now in specifics. Like, give me specifics. What, DEI? That's what you're hanging your hat on? Come on. I mean, honest to God, I asked Jamel Hill the other day, I said on a tweet, I said, hey, look, Jamel Hill is talking about the administration, the current administration, wanting to, I forget the right words, but squash black people. I said, give me specifics. I didn't get one answer. I retweeted it. I retweeted again. I got like 30 responses, none of which would give a specific. Nobody wants to give a specific. I guess this is a specific. I guess what Acho is saying is a specific, but what is this culture? I see more African-American people happier than I've seen. I've seen more African-American people telling me this is great. I want $5,000. Me too. Oh, maybe I just hang out with African-Americans that aren't, I don't know, victims. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Let's see here. Here is more cringe from Acho.
What's up, family? I need y'all to come on a walk with me because I want to share something that's really, really bothering me. My book, Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man, has been banned by the Naval Academy Public Library, the Nimitz Library. Now, it's not bothering me because I spent hundreds of hours tediously and tirelessly working on this book. No, that's not why. It's not bothering me because I had to have vocal cord surgery because I burst a blood vessel working on the audio version of this book. That's not the issue. The issue is that we live in a society that is currently intentionally removing certain pieces of literature from our libraries. See, someone suggests that if you focused on the past, you can't move forward to the present. But what I would suggest is that if you don't learn from history, it might just repeat itself. If you're anything like me, when I was a kid, I would go to the Richardson Public Library in Texas, and I would have to stand on chairs as a kid to touch the top shelf so I can peruse all the books because I wanted to grasp some knowledge for myself. And we live in a world that is robbing our future of those experiences, that is robbing our future of true history. Be mindful, my friends, be mindful. I don't know about you, but this is really plaguing my spirit.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's plaguing my spirit. Oh, boy. All right. Well, apparently he launched as a black man a YouTube series following the murder of George Floyd. The viral digital series was later turned into a book that was released November 10th, 2020. Says it was banned from several libraries of part of anti-DEI efforts by the Trump administration. I don't know whether this is true or not. I certainly don't believe just because one guy says. In uncomfortable conversation with a black man, Emmanuel Acho takes on all the questions, large and small, and sensitive and taboo. Many white Americans are afraid to ask. Who's afraid to ask this guy? Yet, which all Americans need the answers to now more than ever. Really? Acho explains the viral core of such fraught concepts as white privilege, cultural appropriation, and reverse racism. In his own words, he provides a space of compassion and understanding in a discussion that can lack both. He asks only for the reader's curiosity, but along the way will gravitate all of us to join the anti-racist fight. Yeah, all right. I mean, an ex-football player, great. I deal with real people. I do. I deal with real people, always have, always will. And I get it. You know, I don't know whether his book is banned. If it is, well, I would like to know the other side. I always like to know the other side. I always like to know the reason. Good for Acho, though. He's got us talking about him in a positive way. Not the way maybe he really is. Brian Windhorst wasted no time on criticizing the L.A. Lakers after the first-round exit to the Minnesota Timberwolves, saying J.J. Redick coached Wednesday night's game in a very immature way. What? What's going on here, Wendy? What you talking about?
What are the right things to say this morning?
Yeah, we're just gonna make this real easy. This is about three things. One, as Mr. Wilbon said, it's a flawed roster. When they decided to rescind the Mark Williams trade back in February and they weren't going to have a starting center, they knew they were going to be in trouble. There was a pathway for them to play where they could really do some damage, but it was a narrow pathway, and they fell off of it pretty quickly. Secondly, and I don't mean this in a personal way, J.J. Redick coached very immaturely in this series. He was still seething and upset about the previous games to the point where Reggie Miller said on the broadcast last night he had to try to calm him down in the pregame meeting because J.J. was acting, frankly, childishly. He walked off and stormed off in the pregame session with reporters. Regardless of the question, it's not the way to start. And then not only did he double down on his, frankly, irrational decision not to substitute for an entire half in a playoff game, he doubled down on that. And then in this game, he played a guy who hadn't played in 3 months ahead of centers that he had on his roster. He played Maxi Kleber. He had never even practiced with the Lakers. Maxi Kleber's on the court with 5 minutes to go in like a 2-possession game. That is not a rational decision. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't even know if Mark Williams was on this team, whether JJ would have played him. And that's just not – I suspect, in retrospect, JJ will realize he didn't put the Lakers in the best position to win.
Well, a couple things hit me on that. First off, Wendy, I love you. You know I do. We go back a long, long way, back to the late 90s, early 2000s when you were a kid reporting on MAC basketball. But I don't know that you're the guy to be criticizing who somebody plays. A lot of times we've seen in various sports a guy that hadn't played, a little used guy, all of a sudden be a star because the coach had a sense, the coach had a feel. I'll give J.J. Redick credit there, but I don't disagree with the other stuff, whether J.J. Redick was immature, the story about Reggie Miller. No, I don't doubt any of that, but I don't know that it's Brian Windhorst's place. A lot of guys, and think about this, Nick Saban puts in Tua Tagovailoa. Now, it worked. He went with his gut. Maybe J.J. Redick doesn't have enough of experience now. Maybe J.J. Redick doesn't have enough of a gut yet. But coaches have done that a lot over the years. I mean a lot. And when they work out, you know what's going to happen. Brilliant move. How'd you know? When they don't work out, dumbass move, and people criticize you. We all get that. Second thing, though, is about J.J. Redick, and this is where I agree with Wendy. Look, here's the deal. It's very easy to coach sitting in front of a camera. It's very easy to have all the answers about life, about sports, about whatever when you're not a participant. This is why I tell you, I don't really listen, including what I just said about Acho. I don't listen to analysts and people that have an agenda. I listen to people that have done it. And in sports, the coaches and the people involved have done it. And there's a difference. If you're a player talking about things from a player perspective on TV, I'm listening. I'm listening to Barkley. Shaq is too stupid for me. Shaq is too much the big bully who just talks loud and everybody's supposed to fall in line because he's big. But when Kenny Smith in particular and Charles talk about player and player thought, boy, I'm interested in that. And when coaches talk about coaching, particularly NBA coaches, which is where I never coach, when they talk about coaching and circumstances and situations, I'm down with that, man. I want to hear it. But not players talking about coaching, and that's what Reddick would do when he was a TV analyst. He would talk about coaching and how bad or good a coach was. And no, it's very easy to do. It's much more difficult to be a coach than it is a player. Now, you don't believe that. But as a coach, you feel you're responsible for every player. As a player, you're responsible for your performance. And ultimately, if you're a captain of the team, don't get me wrong. But it's much different. Yeah, I'm in on Wendy, everything except the Max Kleber thing. And I'm out on Reddick as a coach. In fact, I put a poll out yesterday. Were you rooting for the Lakers? I put it, were you rooting for LeBron? But what I should have put is, were you rooting for J.J. Reddick to fall on his smug, arrogant ass face? Just saying. Here's J.J. Reddick abruptly leaving the press conference.
As you watch the film, what do you recall about your thought process in the moment? Sticking with the 5 you stuck with in the fourth quarter the other day. And is there an assistant or someone maybe that you'll lean on tonight, maybe to try to get some other guys involved if that opportunity presents itself?
Are you saying
again?
that because I'm inexperienced and that was an inexperienced decision that I made? Do you think I don't talk to my assistants about substitutions every single time out?
No, I just think there's a lot of coaches lean on their assistants in those situations.
As do I,
There's a lot going
every
on.
single time. That's a weird assumption.
Thank you, Coach.
Oh, I like it. All right. Yeah, JJ, you smug, arrogant little guy, you. It's really funny. Yeah, it's really funny to watch. Here's Barkley calling JJ Reddick sensitive, and he ain't wrong.
Dude, he just is a little sensitive now. Because, listen, one of the things that people say they never watch television, we all lie. All jocks watch television. And he's been getting criticized the last 48 hours for playing those guys. And he's just sensitive. Just say, hey, you know what? If I had it, everybody's afraid to say I was wrong. All he had to do is say, hey, you know what? I shouldn't have played those guys the whole second half, and that's it. Then it would have been over.
As a coach, as a player, you rather die with your decision. Is he inexperienced? Yes, he made a decision. Some say it was wrong. He thought it was right. Doesn't matter. What matters is if you don't win this game tonight, that's over.
No, there you go, Shaq. Me likey. Yeah, you do. You ride or die. You made a decision to play the guys. If you really watch an NBA game, though, I mean, if you really watch it and don't just fall for a narrative, there's a lot of standing. Guys a lot of standing. A lot of short sprints, a lot of standing. Hey, he made a mistake. But the thing about J.J. Reddick is, and maybe it's jealousy because he's a handsome guy, Duke guy, all that stuff, I really didn't pay attention to him other than whenever I watched him play. He always made every shot that I watched. He was a great shooter. But I got to tell you, you just get a little tired of the fuckboy haircut and the arrogance, and, you kind of sort of don't root for him. It's like a lot of you get tired of me and my smugness. Not really smug, I guess, but I do look at myself all day, and I see what you're saying. We talked about it yesterday. We did. We talked about John Haliburton, father of Tyrese Haliburton, and I felt like he should take a few games off. Ryan Clark said that he should be banned from going to basketball games. Why? Well, he came on the court after his son hit a game winner, taunted the Greek freak, and got into it and put himself in the middle on the court. Now, there you see, man, the mother. Anyway, this is ridiculous. This is absurd. This is causing problems that did not need to be caused. Haliburton, Tyrese handled it great. Daddy did not. Daddy tried to talk his way through and act like he was something. So here's the latest. According to Shams, the Pacers front office made a decision to ban Tyrese Haliburton's daddy, John Haliburton, as he will not be permitted to attend Pacers game home and away because of his actions in Game 5 between Indy and the Bucks. And according to the reports, John Haliburton agreed to this. See, man, the Pacers gave, I believe, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I would bet, I know those seats Haliburton's dad sits in. I think those are the Pacers' seats. Could be wrong. Could be a season ticket holder that gave him, I don't know. But I don't think Haliburton's dad or Haliburton are paying for those seats. Having said that, that's a privilege. He abused that privilege. When you're in the front row, you have access. It would be very easy for anybody. Remember Gucci Row with the you just step on the court. We saw that idiot Shannon Sharp do that. No. You have certain responsibilities when you sit there, and the number one is don't get your ass involved with the players on the court. I've sat on the front row. I have. It's fun. It's great. It's wonderful. Damn. But don't get involved with the players. Just don't. Simple. Good call, NBA Pacers. Good call. Really good. Can't wait for the series to begin. I don't want to talk about this dumbass. Damn! Travis and Jason Kelce broke down Shedeur Sanders sliding into the 5th round of the draft, and Travis didn't hold back, taking issue with how the situation was handled, citing none of the reports came from any front office member who publicly identified themselves, all choosing to remain anonymous. I really have no problem with it. I don't. My bigger problem is what Stephen A. Smith did. This is the new media. Hey, I got a text from someone, Smith said. What? Shut up. That's using anonymous sources. All right, let's hear from, Moses and Saul, the Kelce brothers.
Dylan Gabriel was selected in the 3rd round. A lot of anonymous reports prior to the draft that his team interviews went poorly. What do you think, Trav? Why do you think Shedeur Sanders?
I think whoever's a fucking anonymous person that's fucking saying this should fucking come out and say who they were. And
say it with your chest.
Like, what the fuck is that about? Like, if you're going to fucking leak that type of shit, fucking be the one that says that, yeah, it just didn't go well for us. Don't fucking say that we're anonymous. That's so fucking lame. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's no validity to it. I'm not sure why he dropped. I'm not sure, whether it was the interviews or whether it was stuff that they saw on film. What I saw on film, I thought he was a way higher pick. And I think that's all that should matter. And I mean, it doesn't seem like he's a terrible person. It seems like he's just a motivated football player that is a part of a big football family. And him and his father have kind of taken over the NCAA football for the past 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, that's really stupid. He said the reports from the team, the anonymous reports, had no validity? What? Of course they did. They 1,000% did. Look at the draft. You're going to tell me that the anonymous, I can't speak today, reports of Shedeur Sanders being a pain in the ass and the worst interview and all that stuff had no validity. Yet you're going to tell me his film looked like a 1st-round pick, but he was drafted in the 5th round. You just told us they have validity. Now, look, you two. I get it. You're the it boys right now. I get it. But don't try to be smart. Be funny. Be entertaining. Be insightful. Involve your wife. Do all the things. But don't try to step out and be anything that you're not because you show you're really dumb. Now, all right, let's just call it what it is. Those anonymous reports have no validity. Really? But I think he's a 1st-round talent. And wait a second. So that's all that should matter? That's what Travis Kelce's saying? That's all that? No, it shouldn't. What are you, an idiot? What? Teams have been ruined by jackasses coming into organizations, whether they're a quarterback, a tight end, a center, a defensive. What is wrong with you? So the only thing that should matter because, this is a football family that took over college football is what? What? The tape? It shouldn't matter that he acted like a jackass. It shouldn't matter that he acted like an entitled punk. What? Stop it. Just stay funny. Stay interesting. Don't try to talk about stuff that, exposes you both. Stay football-y. Jesus. I listened to that, and I'm like, I get it. It's the Kelces. They're the kind of it little kids. Right? Everybody's going to say, oh, this is great. Look at Travis Kelce. Shut up. Speaking I want you to keep speaking. I do. I want you to keep speaking. Kamala Harris made her first public appearance in San Francisco, delivering her first major remarks, some of which are impossible to understand since leaving office. All right, let's decode what she said here.
In fact, please allow me, friends, to digress for a moment. Okay. It's kind of dark in here, but I'm asking for a show of hands. Who saw that video from a couple of weeks ago, the one of the elephants at the San Diego Zoo during the earthquake? Google it if you've not seen it. So that scene has been on my mind. Everybody's asking me what you've been thinking about these days. Well,
what the fuck? I get it. You're trying to be cute, right? Trying to be cute. Oh, Jesus. Here is Scott Jennings, our hero, going off on this mess.
I think when your signature move is jazz hands, you're not as up on the white guy code maybe as you think you are. I mean, everything about this guy from the choice, which was made, I think Shermichael's correct, which was made out of weakness all through his campaign appearances. And now in the aftermath, I just don't think there's ever been anybody in recent political history in over their head more than Tim Walz. And
did you meet Dan Quayle?
It is amazing to me. It is amazing to me. Well, he served a term, did he not?
Yeah, and lost a second.
It is amazing to me that Democrats elevated this guy and that he continues to believe that he is going to be a leader of this party in 2028. The problems that the Democrats have with middle America, white men, working class men, if this is the road we're going down, the code talker Tim Walz are only going to get worse for Democrats.
And there's also something.
Man, them women, did you hear those women? As soon as he got done, it couldn't wait. Dan Quayle. Well, that's 40 years ago. Okay, sweetie. Jeez. I mean, that's the funniest part of that.